Okay, today I'm going to show you how to take an old Regents exam and make some questions for review in eDoctrina, which you can share with the kids electronically. So here I am in eDoctrina. This is the dashboard. I want to go to my Edit Assessments part of the dashboard, and it's going to bring up my window, which by default is going to show me the ones that I've created. So I want to go in and I want to create a new assessment. So I'm going to go up to the top left and I'm going to click Create. And then it's going to give me some fields to pick in. So I'm going to do, what I want to do is I want to ask these questions. So here is this is the January 2020 US exam. So there's a couple different types of questions here, which is a good example for us to use. So I've got one that uses a political cartoon to ask a question. And then I've got some other ones that are a little simpler that don't relate to another passage. So I'll show you how to do both of these and all these types of questions. So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to just call this US Review. Okay. I'm going to put in the grade. So I'm going to put in grade 11 and I'm going to put in subject, which is social studies. Okay. The type. So now for type, I'm going to click teacher created, but there's a couple other choices. It doesn't really matter too much. For courses, I'm going to go in and I'm going to pick my US courses. Now, if you have multiple courses, you can select those. So let me just put some other ones in here. Okay, so I've got multiple courses in here that you might want to use it with. Now, if I don't want those, I can just click on the X and get rid of those ones. But you want to pick your courses so that when the kids go into eDoctrina, they see the tests. Okay, so there I am. Now I've got three choices at the bottom. Answer key only. So I could just give them a printed copy of the test and just print answer keys or bubble sheets. That would work. But I'm going to do the build questions option here. So I'm going to click on that. It's going to give me two choices. Am I building my own questions or am I using the question bank? The question bank refers to the questions that are already in the system, which is not what I want to do. So even though I'm using an old test, I'm still building my own questions in their mind. So I'm going to click on that. Now it's going to ask me how many questions would I like to add. I'm going to leave it at 1. But I do want to make one change here, which is the type. So I know that on this exam, my choices are numerical. So I want to make sure that I'm not using A, B, C, D. So my type, this is asking what are the type for the answer. So I want to set that to numeric. And I do have 4, just like here. It's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. My default correct answer, I just leave it at 1 because I'm going to change that later. And then I'm going to hit create assessment. So now it's going to create an assessment with one question, which is okay because I'm going to go back in and I'm going to fix those things later. Okay. So here I am. I've got one question. So I could add another question here. I could add a passage. I could do a bunch of stuff here. What I want to do is show you how to import the questions from a doc or a PDF. Now, this isn't going to import them like it's going to just open it up and make the test automatically. You do have to copy and paste, but I'll show you how it works. So I'm going to click on this option here to import the questions from a doc or PDF. It brings up this option here where I can type my questions in or copy and paste. What it's going to do is it's automatically going to pull the questions and the answer choices off of what I paste in here. So let me go back to my US exam. So here are my questions. So I want to ask questions 31 to 36. So I'm going to just go in here and I'm going to highlight 31 to 36 with the choices. I'm going to hit Control C to copy or right click and hit copy. And I'm going to go back here and I'm going to hit the paste button. Now you're going to see that it has pasted all of those things in here. Now, the one thing I always do is I like to go in and I like to just kind of put a space between my questions. So I go in and I click and then I hit the enter key so that I have a space between my questions. So you can see how now I have a space between my questions, right? So now what I'm going to do is hit the proceed button and see what it does with this. There's going to be a problem I can see already, but this will only happen if your test is formatted like this Regents exam. So I hit proceed and I can see my question. So there's the first question. It pulled it with the answers correctly. pulled the second one correctly. Okay, so it's pretty good here. But I do see this one is kind of weird. So it's not seeing these as 4 separate things. It's seeing it as 2 items. So I want to fix this. So then I'm going to hit the back key, and I'm going to go back to that question. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to Control X to cut, and then I'm going to paste in question 3, and then I'm going to cut out 4, Control X, and then I'm going to scroll down and hit Control V to paste. Now I've got them in the right order. Now when I hit proceed, now it's going to look correct. So now I've got my questions in there nice and neat. I hit approve. Now what it's done is it's added those questions in. Now, notice now I still have question 1 in there. So I can go up here and I'm just going to delete that. There was also an option on the last screen to overwrite the questions. So now I've got my questions in here, right? Now what I need to do is just simply go in and choose the right answer, right? So my first one was based on the cartoon. So what I want to make sure that I do is I'm going to have to make sure I add that passage back in there later. So I'm just going to go in and I can select my answer. There's 2 ways I could select the right answer. I could select it here, or I could select it here where it says correct. I could change it to 1, 2, 3, 4. So whichever one it is, I can change it there. So I can go in and I'm going to change my answers for all of these. Don't judge me. I'm not even looking at the questions. I'm just picking them. You need to know what the answers are, obviously, right? So there you go. Now I've got my answers almost in. Okay, I've got all my correct answers. And now if I recall from the exam, what I need to do, notice it reordered my questions. Now what I need to do is go in here, and now I've got to get this passage in because that political cartoon is what the kids are going to use. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that I can see the whole question. So here's my question here. Okay, and it says, base your answer to question 31 on the cartoon below and your knowledge of social studies. So I got to add this back in. So when I go back to my questions, I'm going to see on the left-hand side my add passage feature. So I'm going to click on add passage. So now it's going to ask, now it's asking me which question is this passage for. So this is only for question 1. Now, if it was an ELA, let's say, and I had a story I was going to add for all the questions, I could hit select here and select all the questions that I have. But I'm going to unselect, and I'm just going to pick question 1. So now when I hit proceed, it's going to let me put the passage in, and it's going to allow me to attach that only to question 1. So here are my options, right? So it's asking me what type of question it is. So a chart, a graph, whatever, non-fictional. I'm going to hit political cartoon. It's one of the options, right? So I hit political cartoon. Now it's giving me the options of uploading an image, uploading a video. So I could upload a video and have the kids watch it and then answer the question. I could embed media. I could actually take a picture, right? So if I had a copy of the cartoon, I could hit the camera button and it's going to overtake my camera, and I could hold up the picture and take a picture of it, right? Okay, so, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do it an easy way. So what I'm going to do is go back to my passage. I'm going to go down, and I always have this highlighted, but this is just the snipping tool. And what I'm going to do is click new, and then I'm just going to highlight over that passage, that cartoon. Actually, I'm going to do that again. Let me hit it again because I missed a part. I'm going to hit new, and then I'm going to drag and hold and go over. And then when I let go, it's going to bring it up in the new window. So that's what I want the kids to see. I'm going to go up here to copy. I could also save it, but I'm just going to copy it and then go back to my window. So copy is the little 2 papers. Go back here. Find my pop-up that has that in there. So the passage editor is this one, right? So here I am, and then I'm just going to Control V and paste my cartoon in there, right? I could also, if I had saved it on my hard drive using the save button on the screen before, I could hit upload image and find it there. But this is just the fastest way to do it. Then I'm going to scroll down to the bottom, and it's going to show me that it's attached to this question, right? I'm going to hit save at the top, or save and close. So save and close. And now it's going to insert that passage with question number 1. So there's question number 1. There's the piece. This is what they see here. Okay, so I'm going to hit save and close for my test, right? So now when I assign this to the kids, let's look at a preview and see what it looks like. So here's my US review. I hit preview online. So when the kids go in, they're going to see this test in their course. So here's question 1. There's the cartoon. Here's the choices. The kids are going to go in. They're going to pick their answer. And then they're going to go on to the next question. They can go through and they can choose any choice that they want. But it's a great way for you to generate data. I think that eDoctrina is one of the best tools for looking at things like item analysis and stuff like that. So there you go. There you have it. You have just seen how to add questions. We talked about how to look at and add a passage. In this case, it was a cartoon or a picture. We could also add a file that had that in there. We also saw what to do with pesky questions like this one that have 2-column answers like this, that we saw that we had to kind of take some special care with those when we paste them in. But I hope this helps, and I hope that you use eDoctrina for some review.